In any democratic society, the office of a governor is not merely a political seat, but a symbol of stability, security, and the public trust. Governors serve as stewards of state leadership, responsible for enforcing laws, protecting citizens, and embodying the values of public service. And as such, the expectation for their personal safety and that of their families is not a luxury, but a necessity. Any breach in this security framework reverberates through the social and political strata, shaking public confidence and raising grave questions about systemic preparedness against threats, both domestic and ideological. The sanctity of a governor's residence, traditionally seen as a secure domain protected by state-of-the-art surveillance and personnel, is paramount. It reflects not only the logistical planning of a government's protective infrastructure, but also signals the broader strength of democratic institutions in the face of rising political hostility. Unfortunately, this sanctity was violently shattered in April 2005, when Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's home in Harrisburg became the scene of a calculated arson attack. An incident that shocked the nation and underscored the urgent need to reevaluate the security protocols of high-profile public officials. What transpired that night was more than just a criminal act. It was a manifestation of the disturbing trends that have come to define modern political violence, where hate, mental instability, and ideological extremism converge. The attack on the Shapiro family highlights a growing vulnerability in a climate increasingly hostile to those in public service. And in this case, it was not just Governor Shapiro's politics, but his Jewish heritage, and potentially even international tensions, such as the Israeli-Hamas conflict, that may have influenced the arsonist's motivations. This chilling incident is not just about one man's actions, but about larger, unsettling shifts in our global and domestic landscape. In what follows, we delve deep into the details of the April 13th arson at the Pennsylvania governor's mansion, examine the background and motivations of the suspect, uncover the possible international echoes behind the crime, and explore the life and resilience of Lori Shapiro, the governor's wife, whose quiet strength may have been targeted as well. We also revisit the early life and policy style of Governor Josh Shapiro to understand the broader context in which this attack took place. Josh Shapiro was born on June 20, 1973, in Kansas City, Missouri, and raised in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. The son of a pediatrician and an educator, Shapiro grew up in a Jewish household that emphasized community, justice, and service. He graduated from the University of Rochester and later earned his JD from Georgetown Law. Shapiro's career has spanned local, state, and national governance, including service in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives as Montgomery County Commissioner, and most notably as Pennsylvania's Attorney General. As Attorney General, he earned a reputation for taking on major institutions, from the Catholic Church during the clergy abuse investigation to big pharmaceutical companies amid the opioid crisis. Since assuming office as governor in 2023, Shapiro has maintained a pragmatic, bipartisan approach to governance. His administration focuses on economic growth, public health, infrastructure investment, and strong support for law enforcement. He is known for balancing progressive ideals with law and order rhetoric, a centrist style that has earned him both praise and criticism. As a practicing Jew and vocal supporter of the Jewish community, especially during times of global unrest, Shapiro's identity has become a flashpoint for both admiration and hostility. With rising antisemitism and geopolitical conflicts intensifying, particularly the Israeli-Hamas conflict, his visibility as a Jewish leader may have played an indirect role in making him a target. Lori Shapiro, a Princeton-educated nonprofit strategist and advocate for children's health and education, has long stood beside her husband, not merely as a political spouse, but as a woman deeply engaged in public service. Raised in a Reform Jewish household in Philadelphia, Lori's upbringing was marked by volunteerism and a fierce commitment to justice. Her work with health equity organizations and education nonprofits has made her both a respected figure in social advocacy and, perhaps unintentionally, a public symbol of progressive values. Some analysts now question whether the arsonist saw Lori as more than collateral damage. Her high visibility in recent humanitarian initiatives, some in support of Jewish and Israeli causes, during the ongoing Israeli-Hamas conflict may have added an international ideological layer to an already volatile act of domestic terror. On April 13, 2025, just after 2 a.m., a chilling 911 call was placed. Pennsylvania State Police had been alerted to a fire at the governor's mansion in Harrisburg. Inside were Governor Josh Shapiro, his wife Lori, their 4 children, and several relatives who were visiting to celebrate the Passover holiday. Also present were the family's 2 dogs. As alarms blared and flames rose, the family was swiftly evacuated thanks to a coordinated effort by security personnel and state troopers on the premises. The blaze primarily affected the dining and piano rooms of the historic residence. What investigators would soon uncover was that this was no accidental fire. It was an arson attack, meticulously planned and executed by an intruder who had penetrated the property's perimeter and launched a violent assault on the governor's home. The suspect, identified as 38-year-old Cody Allen Balmer, was a resident of Pembroke, a small borough just outside Harrisburg. Balmer had a troubled past riddled with mental illness and prior criminal offenses. His mother later told reporters that Cody had been diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. He had a history of refusing medication and had experienced increasing isolation and erratic behavior in the months leading up to the attack. Balmer's previous criminal record includes a 2016 conviction for forgery and theft. He was known to local law enforcement, but was not considered a significant threat until now. Neighbors described him as quiet but angry, often muttering about politics and conspiracy theories. Social media investigations revealed a troubling history of anti-government rhetoric and anti-Semitic posts, including mentions of Zionism and the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict. On the night of the attack, Balmer reportedly scaled the mansion's perimeter fence undetected. He carried a hammer and a bag containing homemade incendiary devices, beer bottles filled with gasoline fitted with cloth wicks. Security footage later confirmed that he used the hammer to shatter several ground floor windows before throwing the Molotov cocktails into the residence. The devices landed in 2 specific rooms, the dining room and the music room, both of which were quickly engulfed in flames. Miraculously, a stairwell door was closed that night, an act credited with preventing the fire from spreading further. That simple detail may have saved the lives of the governor and his family. The Pennsylvania governor's residence is considered a high-security location, with round-the-clock patrols, perimeter surveillance, and advanced alarm systems. So how did Balmer manage to get in? Early investigations point to several key failures. First, while the fence was secure, there were sections obscured by heavy landscaping, making visual detection difficult. Secondly, due to budget reallocations, several external motion detectors had been offline for scheduled upgrades. Finally, although there was a security officer on patrol, Balmer avoided direct detection by exploiting known blind spots. The lapse in surveillance points to a dangerous underestimation of the threat posed by lone actors with mental health challenges. While attention is often focused on organized extremist groups, Balmer's actions underscore the need for comprehensive mental health and threat assessment programs. After the attack, Balmer fled the scene but turned himself in later that morning at a local police station. He reportedly confessed to the crime in detail, expressing hatred toward Governor Shapiro and claiming that he would have assaulted the governor had he encountered him. He was arrested and charged with multiple felonies, including attempted murder, arson, aggravated assault, burglary, use of weapons of mass destruction for the Molotov cocktails, terrorism. He was denied bail and transferred to a secure psychiatric facility pending further evaluation. Governor Shapiro and his family were deeply shaken by the event. In a public statement, he condemned the attack as an act of political violence and thanked law enforcement for their quick response. He also expressed gratitude that no lives were lost and pledged to continue his duties without fear or hesitation. Lori Shapiro, in a rare public appearance, spoke about the emotional toll of the incident, particularly on their children. She emphasized the importance of mental health support and urged families to take warning signs seriously. She also subtly referenced her continued advocacy for peace in the Middle East, calling for unity over hate. In response to the attack, Pennsylvania authorities have launched a full-scale review of security protocols at all state residences. New technology, including infrared cameras, motion sensors, and reinforced barriers, will be installed. Governor Shapiro has also requested the formation of a bipartisan task force to assess risks to public officials across the state. This event has prompted other states to reevaluate their own security frameworks. The National Governors Association has issued a statement urging federal assistance to improve protective infrastructure and better coordinate with mental health agencies to preempt potential threats. The night of April 13th wasn't just a fire, it was a message. A message that the line between madness and ideology is thinning, that the walls meant to protect those in power are more fragile than we're led to believe. One man, armed with fire and fury, breached what should have been an impenetrable fortress, and he did it without an army, without a manifesto, just a bag of homemade bombs and a mind spiraling into darkness. Governor Shapiro and his family survived. But survival doesn't mean safety, not anymore. This wasn't just a failure of security. It was a symptom of a society teetering on the edge, a society where mental illness festers unchecked, where online vitriol metastasizes into real-world violence, and where the systems meant to protect crumble beneath the weight of complacency. What's more chilling than the act itself is how easily it could have ended differently. A stairwell door left open, a second attacker, a few minutes delay in response. One detail changed, and this story would be about a massacre, not a warning. We ignore these signs at our peril. At Shadow of Crime Chronicles, we don't just report the horror, we dissect it. We expose the fractures others overlook, shine a light on the motives behind madness, and ask the questions too uncomfortable for headlines. If this story made you think, if it made you uneasy, good. It should. Subscribe to Shadow of Crime Chronicles. Share the story. Help us keep uncovering the truths hiding in plain sight. Because in the world we live in now, the shadows aren't receding, they're closing in.